Tuesday, everybody. And what a great Tuesday it is to be alive, to be full of purpose, and excited about what today holds. And you know what? I just want to encourage you that no matter what you're facing today, the unexpected, the things that weren't planned, they weren't on your calendar, that you're having to deal with, just, turn it over. Turn it over to God and just take 1 hour at a time, 30 minutes at a time, 10 minutes at a time. Whatever it is just going to help you kind of get through these moments and just breathe. How about you do that with me? Just breathe. Yeah. Mm, that feels good. Let's do that one more time. You know, gosh, sometimes we don't take enough time to just stop and breathe deeply. That's amazing. I feel good. I feel better. But happy Tuesday, everybody, and thank you so much for joining me for Cheers to New Beginnings, which is the second day episode for the series. And this series will continue every weekday through August 22nd. And what we're talking about is how to implement the vision of your project. This is the initiation phase. This is the start up. This is the kickoff of that great project program or initiative that God has given you to fulfill. And I'm just here to help, give you tools and strategy of how to do it well because it matters how you start. So many people get overwhelmed with taking the time to do the work, to write out the plan, to build strategy around it. And it shows. It really does show. And I see that, when I don't take the time to do it, I see how it affects everything else. And what you'll find is that if you don't do the work, if you don't put things in writing, if you don't build a strategy and infrastructure around the vision, it will not be sustainable. The great thing that you've been given to do, purpose to do, you will struggle time and time and time again, and it will not come to the fulfillment that it should or be as effective as it should be because you just didn't take the time to plan. And it's so important. Everything isn't miraculous. God has also given us strategies and planning and things to do in order to make sure that the human part of it, our investment in it, is what it should be. And so I'm just here to help with that. Yeah, I just want to partner with you on helping you to achieve your goals. And so, just take some time to engage with me. I want you to like the video, share the video, tag some people that can use some help with this, as we all can. Comment, let me know that you're here, say hello. And then also react. Give me hearts, send up some hearts, some likes. And if you don't like what I'm saying, send me some sad faces too. It's okay. It's all right. Because you know what? I'm still going to continue to do what I have to do. Um, but I do hope it's a blessing. Is it a blessing? Let me know. Are you watching the content? Are you enjoying it? Are you implementing it? Let me know. Feedback is very important to my ability to serve you well. Okay. So, just to let you know what to expect through the series, if this is your first time joining me, yesterday we started with constructing the vision. And the main point there was realizing that, vision isn't something that as leaders that we have to find or seek it or all this. We only have to be open to receive it. And it takes the pressure off. So if you want to know more about what that truly means, go check out episode number 1. But then also today we're talking about contextualizing the vision, okay, and how to do that. And so I'm super excited. I'm sorry, hit the wrong thing. There we go. Day 2, contextualizing the vision. And so when we think about that root word of contextualize, context, what are the circumstances? What is the environment? What's happening around a certain thing? And sometimes we don't take the time to do that. to understand. We just see the vision and think that's it. We take it, we try to run with it without first understanding, what's the context of the vision? What's happening around it? What is in my control, out of my control? What are people thinking? What are their biases or perceptions about certain things? Because that is what you're going to have to build your project around and work within. And so if you don't understand that, then down the road, even these next few days, as we talk about some things, you'll see the difficulty in actually being able to fulfill them. Okay, so you can't miss the steps. I'm gonna say that again. You can't miss the steps because you'll always have to come back to it. Always. So even if you think you're missing the step and you try to move forward, right? Whether it's next week, in a month, in a year, you're still gonna have to come back to it. So let's be mindful of that. And so, you know how I like to start? Yep. Let's get some wisdom. And Proverbs 4:7 says, the beginning of wisdom is this: get some. Get you some. Get wisdom. I love that. Because you know what? In our minds, oftentimes we think it's going to be something just big and profound. But it's so simple. It says the beginning of wisdom is to first get some. Get wisdom. Right? And then it says, though it costs all you have, get understanding. So what does it tell you? That understanding is highly valued, right? If it costs a lot, then that means it's expensive. It's of great value to us, right? And in getting wisdom, researching, interviewing, talking to people, consulting, to really get an understanding of what's happening, what the needs are, what the motivations are, it takes time. Yeah, it takes time to get that kind of wisdom because that kind of wisdom comes through relationship, and then relationships take time to build and getting to know people. And you know what? And the more I talk, you're like, the less I want to do it, right? And that's just a human part of us, right? That we have to acknowledge where we are. And that is a lot of times that we don't like to take the time and doing activities and sorting through strategies because it takes time. Time that we feel like we don't have. And then we begin to say, is it really worth it? Can I just skip over it? Can I move past that? But no. Will getting an understanding cost you time? Yes. Will getting an understanding cost you money? Yes. And other resources? Yes. It will cost all that you have to give, but you need it. You need it. And so that's what we're talking about when it comes to contextualizing the vision. It's understanding the circumstances and everything that is happening around it. Okay. And so I have this model here and I think it's so cute. Okay. I call it the car model. Isn't that cute? The car model? Okay, maybe it's a little corny. But the car model for contextualizing the vision. Okay. And this is important. It's so important, to mind these three steps. And it's one, you got to consider something, you got to analyze something, and you got to respond to something. Okay, so what are those things? Now I'm going to zoom in on this a little bit so that you can kind of read along with me if you can see it, because sometimes, honestly, through streaming, the images aren't as sharp as I would like them to be. But that's another reason why I'm going to go full mode, but I'm still here. Don't worry. Okay, so the C in the car model is consider, meaning that you have to first decide what information is pertinent regarding the success of your project. Like, what's most important? What's crucial? What's the most significant thing? What's the priority? And things that you need to come to understand, right? And then be sure to consider your resources because that's important. The relevancy that's surrounding your project, because relevancy is crucial, right? And the time frame around relevancy, because what's relevant today may not be relevant by the time you finish. So you want to make sure that your project can be completed within a time frame that it's still relevant. And then return on investment. Yeah, 3 R's. Consider resources, relevancy, and return on investment. And the thing about return on investment is that, yes, this is a financial strategy to kind of sort through, looking at, I think, oh, let's see, the formula is like the cost, right? There's the profit, your expected profit minus cost, okay, divided by cost, okay, times 100, something like that. I'm not going to get all into that, okay? Um, it is important that you take a look at that financially. And there are so many different models and resources out there to help you calculate that. But my primary thing is to help you understand that return on investment is just not a financial matter. Okay. Return on investment is also about the intangibles. For example, the time that we're going to put into this, is it going to buy me some time? Is it going to provide me, it's going to help me save time later, right? And this has to do a lot with projects that have to deal with proficiency and efficiency, congruency in your infrastructure, right? Making things better, making things easier to do and to follow, right? So it might take me a lot of time to build it, but once it's built, wow, that's saving me so much time. It's now something that I can hand over to other people, that I can delegate. And even though I can't earn time, at least by delegating, it kind of saves me time and allows me to rebudget my time and to, you know, use it in other places than the same place over and over again. So again, we can't earn time, but we can reuse it. We can make good use of it, right? Manage it better. And that's one way to do it. So the intangibles is, definitely consider your return on investment of that, but also your spiritual outcomes. Like, oh gosh, I've been in organizations where there's so much time put into projects that honestly, you're tearing your people down so much in terms of their motivations, their availabilities, and so on, that when it comes to much more crucial and important, I'm gonna put this behind me, much more crucial and important um, projects and things that you need them to work on, they're burnt out. They're burnt out. They don't want to do it anymore, right? They're tired. And so, you have to say, is this worth putting all of the resources and time into this right now? Or do we have other priorities that we need to better utilize our people and capital that we have? Okay. So again, return on investment is so much bigger than just a financial piece. That's important. You need to know that, right? Because that's a part of your context, and your budgeting and all of that. But look at the big picture, right? As to um, everything that would be a return on investment, but also the great things, building relationships with people, right? Providing greater resources and services to a community, right? So it can cost you so much. But when you think about what you get in return, you building trust with people, right? Building rapport with people. That is a great thing to consider and a return on your investment. Okay. So just if even though the financial piece of it might not look convincing, if you consider those soft skills and the intangibles and the spiritual matters that will return to you, it's still worth doing. Okay. So then, number two, the next step in the CAR model is to analyze. Okay. And this is where you're gathering intelligence using various analysis models such as SWOT. Remember SWOT? We're going to review that in just a second. PESTLE, analysis, stakeholder needs and power, okay, and return on investment. I already mentioned that one, so I'm not going to go into too much more detail with that. But to understand the circumstances surrounding your project. Okay, so let's take a look at this a little bit. We have the SWOT analysis, very popular. If you've spent any time in college, I'm sure that this has come across somewhere in one of your classes. It probably is even being introduced in high school as well, especially students taking any type of business course. So this is pretty much well used and recognized. But if not, if you're not familiar with it, it's definitely a great analysis tool that you can use in pretty much any situation, whether as a person, as an organization, as a project. You decide. It's useful in so many different scenarios. But you're basically just considering what are the strengths, or should I say, identifying what are the strengths, what are the weaknesses, and those are internal. And then what are the opportunities and the threats, external, right? Surrounding your project. Okay, so what does that look like? So that's one analysis you can do. Then we have the pestle analysis, and I'm going to zoom in on this one a little bit, where you're talking about, or should I say, identifying what are the political circumstances with the government, trade, foreign policies, global influence, etc. What does that look like? What are the economical circumstances? Looking at economy, different rates, cost of living, which has been something that we've experienced quite a bit lately, right? So circumstances also change. And so as you are controlling and monitoring your project down the line, that might be something that you still have to kind of revisit and say, have our circumstances changed? Do we need to look at the context again? Social, meaning cultural implications, health, lifestyles, demographic distributions. What are the circumstances there? And then technological circumstances like research and development, what's available, what's upcoming, advancements. Then you have legal circumstances, such as what are the laws that are currently in place? What are some compliance issues that exist that we need to make sure that we abide by? What about ownership, right? Who owns the project? Are there ownership concerns there? And then environmental, climate, and different protections that might exist. What does the weather look like? Different seasons, especially if your project is going to be going over over 6 months to a year or longer. Gosh, how do the different seasons um, perhaps affect what you're able to do and when you're able to do it, or even how, right? And so that is the pestle analysis. Now, another thing that I want you to consider here is that whereas you're looking at mostly external implications for that, in the world, should I say, or in your country, in your city, you can also use this for organizational analysis also, from an internal perspective. Like, what is the political situation within our organization? What is the economical situation within our organization? The social, the technological, the legal, the environmental. You see what I'm saying? And so you can take that, and all of a sudden, you have a really great organizational analysis that you can complete. Yeah. So great tool there. I love the personal analysis because you can get a lot of rich information just using one strategy. And then we have stakeholders. First, identifying who they are, where you can conduct that type of stakeholder analysis. And stakeholders are the people who have a stake in your project. It affects them in some way. And you got to think of stakeholders as people who have a seat at the table. Okay. Now, they may not be at the head of the table, right? They might have a little stool pulled up because the table was kind of full, but they were still invited to the meeting. So, stakeholders aren't, I like how it said in animal farm, what do they say? All animals are created equal, but some are more equal than others. It's the same way with stakeholders. All stakeholders are created equal, but some are created more equal than others in terms of what they bring to the table. And so Here's just a small graph to, identify who they are. And this isn't all inclusive too. You might even think of additional stakeholders depending on what your project, program, or initiative is. But there could be the executives, the leaders, the pastors, the CEOs, the managers, all of those people, customers and clients, depending on how you like to kind of look at that. Influencers, yes, because you know what, the reality is that we now have influencers, don't we? Not just those influencers within organizations or kind of known by the organization, but just on a grand scale and within social media, we have influencers. And so I think it's important that in this, kind of new age environment, that we do consider influencers as stakeholders, right? What would they catch wind of? What is it? What's the possibility of them talking about things across social media and things like that? Um, Employees, or additional stakeholders, advisors, people that you consult, okay, in a professional or informal way. Then we have also agencies, government agencies, professional agencies, licensing agencies, that will have some stake in what you do. Partners, investors, shareholders, right? People, yeah, with the money, they're coming with the money, they're coming with the funds because everything takes money, right? In some shape or form, you still have to have some type of money to do something, that currency, okay? Um, but they're stakeholders, absolutely. Not just emotionally, but with their pockets. Suppliers, right? The people who are having to supply you with product or, um, um, supplies, suppliers, yeah, resources to help you achieve what it is that you're doing. But then also the community and the public as well. And I put slash public because, what you consider to be your community versus what's the public can be quite different. I see community as in the different demographics of people or groups of people, that may be considered stakeholders with your project. But then the public are like those people you really don't consider as the community, but they still want to come and know, hey, what are you doing? What are you up to? Like the media. Um, and so viewers and social media, you don't know who they are. They're part of a bigger, not so much greater, but a bigger community at large. But you may not always know exactly who they are. They're just kind of onlookers. Those are stakeholders too. Okay, so, and then here you also want to consider these questions in your stakeholder analysis. Who or where are they? Okay, who meaning add put some names to these people, right? Be able to identify them by names or groups, and then also identify where they are. And then also ask yourself, what are their motivations? Think about that. What are their motivations? What inspires them? What moves them into action? And then a third question is, what are their needs? Okay, what are they asking for? Okay, what are they sometimes afraid to ask for, but they need? Because I'm learning that when it comes to stakeholders, need does not always provoke action for one reason or another. I think it's human nature. We just sometimes are afraid to go after exactly what it is that we need. Maybe because we're afraid to change. Maybe because, hey, I want you to see my face when I say that. Hmm, maybe it's because we're actually afraid to change. Maybe it's because if we get the thing that we're constantly making an excuse about, then we're running out of excuses. Hmm, could it be that? No, no, that must be someone else, not us, right? That's the other people. That's not us. That couldn't be us. Yeah, that couldn't be us. Something to think about. And then the fourth question is, what are their concerns? Okay, needs aren't always concerns, right? Sometimes people aren't concerned about what they need and they should be. Um, And then sometimes people need what they're not, they say they need what they're not concerned about. I don't know. But what are their concerns? What are the things they complain about? What are the things that they're constantly trying to get answers about or change? Consider that. Okay. And then after you think about all of that, then we have the stakeholder power analysis. And here's a matrix that you can use to be able to do that, where you're looking at two factors: the influence of the stakeholder versus their interest in the project. Okay, so let me say that again: the influence of the stakeholder and their interest in the project and what you're doing. Okay, so what is this saying to us? If a person has low or less influence, and influences, when you're thinking about someone's power, someone's role, um, someone's because investment does equal influence. Let's be real here. I like to keep it real, and let's be real. Investment does equate to some influence. Okay. Um, their expertise, their credibility, all of that, okay, can add to someone's influence, or their, power in this case. And so if they don't have a lot of that and really not interested in what you're doing, but they're still an employee, they're still on the team, they're still a partner, right? You need to monitor them. Monitor them closely. And here I would honestly say give them very specific tasks to do. Don't make them a leader. Don't put them in charge of something because you're hoping to inspire, something, and to change their heart. Let's be honest. Let's start where people are. We have to lead their heart. We can't lead their expectations. Or should I say, we can't lead our expectations for them. We can't lead what we would like them to be, what we would like them to feel. You got to start where people are. You have to lead their heart. And if their current heart is saying, hey, I'm really not interested in this, I don't have a lot of influence, I really am grudgingly being a part of this, okay, monitor them, give them specific tasks to do, okay, and start there. Start there. Start where they are. But if they have a little bit more influence, okay, and still, low interest though, keep them content, okay? Again, these are people who give money, 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 but won't show up, who won't participate, who really don't want to have a part in it, but are like, hey, tell me what you need and I'll send it, right? What's important to them, and make sure that's a part of what you're doing. Just keep them content. Okay. Don't be offensive. Don't ask more of them. And sometimes at trying to ask more of them, or wanting to get them more involved in a project than what they're currently in, again, lead their heart. Okay. Lead their heart. And their heart is currently, I'm not that interested, but I want to support you. And I have a lot of influence in what you're doing. Just go with that. Okay. And don't overwhelm them or overstimulate them with trying to push them into having greater interest in the project. Okay. Now, if a person has less influence but high interest in the project, I mean, these are the people who, they're not necessarily your leaders, but they show up, they're gung ho, they're all about it, right? They're like, yes, 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 we need this, we have to do this. How can I help? You know, um, keep them informed. Keep them informed about what's going on. And then also create opportunities for them to be involved. Okay. Again, no, they don't have a lot of influence. They don't have a lot of followers. They don't have a lot of say necessarily, but these people can rise up. Okay. Over time, it's these people that you want to cultivate and develop and help them rise up and influence. Okay. Because soon They're going to be your more influenced, high interested people. Okay. But what happens is that if you say, oh, well, they don't have a lot of influence, we're going to dismiss them. You know what happens to these people? Then they become these people. And you don't want them to become these people, the ones you have to monitor. You want them to become those you want to engage and, become those you consult. Okay. So, yeah, high influence, high interest, engage them, consult with them. Hey, keep them going, right? Keep them invested. And then also be sure to document who these people are. So again, you know who the stakeholders are that you need to kind of look at and analyze. And now for each person, say where are they regarding this project? Not in your organization, but regarding this project. What is their power given this situation? And then you're creating your strategy around that. Again, not based on what you hope, not on wishes, not on expectations, not on dreams, but where people are right now. Okay. And so then from there, step 3 is to respond. We have to respond, right? Evaluate the results of your analyses and then respond appropriately considering the circumstances in which your project is implemented. That's the whole point, right? That's the whole point of wisdom and getting an understanding so that we can respond appropriately. And so that's it for today's content. I pray that was beneficial to you and that it's something that you can take and run with, that you say, I needed this, I'm going to do this, and this is exactly what I need. So comment, let me know what you thought about the content, any questions that you may have, or anything you want to add. Go for it. Be a blessing to the people. I do have one announcement before I let you go. And that announcement is that Leap My Heart now has an internship program. Yay! I'm so excited. This is definitely a dream come true for me to have the opportunity and the availability and the resources to cultivate our college students and those who are wanting to develop their skills and really make a difference, but also be cultivated and learned and developed and nurtured. And I am certainly looking forward to doing that. So for any of you who may be in college or you know someone who's in college, they must be a junior or senior in college, okay, and they also must currently be enrolled in in an internship course, okay. So that's not to say it will always be this way, but for the first launch of this, I definitely want to cater to students who are needing internships for a specific course that they're having associated with their degree plan, okay. So you can scan this QR code. This also is on our social media. So you can go to our social media pages and find this flyer as well and the links to apply. But I'm looking for social media ambassadors, video editors, graphic designers, copywriters, and communications ambassadors as well. I'm definitely interested in hiring more than one intern. And I do use hire loosely, but this is unpaid. This is an unpaid academic internship for course credit. Okay, so I want to be very specific with that. But it's flexible, remote work is available, or a hybrid situation. The only one that's not available for remote work is the TikTok social media ambassador. Okay. And that's it. So follow us at Leap My Heart 2022 on all social media. Connect with us. Let us know how we can partner with you in helping you to achieve your goals. And remember, in everything you do and with everything you have, love God and love people. You all have a blessed rest of your Tuesday. Goodbye.